right, well, welcome back to another edition of Lunchtime Live. We are here with the talented Trevor Davis, lead singer of Dr. Seahorse, singer-songwriter of Dr. Seahorse, forgive me for that. And we're talking about influences, those musicians or artists that influence Trevor and Dr. Seahorse. Real quick, before we move on, I wanted to play this game that I like to play with different artists and different bands that come in. I call it Survivor Musician Edition, and I like to ask them, if you were stranded on an island and you had to pick 2 or 3 musicians to be on the island with, who would they be and why? You know, those musicians that, you know, had the greatest impact on you, or what and why, who and why.
Okay. Well, I think I would pick Michael Jackson for one.
Who?
Michael Jackson.
Who is this man?
He's
it's just this little indie artist.
Yeah, Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney, and Prince and Whitney Houston. I slipped another one in there. We'll take half Whitney.
The half Whitney. We won't tell you which half, but we'll just take half Whitney.
Left hand
Whitney. Yes. No, those are all great musicians and artists, songwriters.
Yeah.
And they've put an imprint, you know, in this world, you know.
Yeah.
And I see that's your strive, what you're striving to do, and I see the impact that you've already had in people's lives personally and in the music industry, and which leads us to our next conversation, which I know a lot of listeners are excited about, and I'm very stoked to hear. You know, you were recently on The Voice,
yes,
and we'd love to hear your journey and experience on The Voice. And one of the things that I was reading, one of the blogs by a band called The Joy Eternal. Mm-hmm. I know it's a couple of your friends, and they're just talking about different experiences that you've had. So I'll get into it. I'll let you tell us about your journey on The Voice. So let's go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, I think when I auditioned, I honestly was very much super just relaxed and didn't really think I was going to get in, because it's literally it's like being super optimistic about a lottery ticket that you scratched. You buy it because, I don't buy them. But for people that do, maybe they are really optimistic. Like, they really think there's a chance. Like Dumb and Dumber, so you're saying there's a chance. You know what I mean? But, 50,000 people auditioned this last season, and the season that's on now. And, only 48 can make it, which is for a number of people, it's 0.0001 or 0.001, something like that.
Yeah,
but very small, right there, very, very, very slim. And it's so when I auditioned, I was super just chill, and this is I did it. I went up with a friend to audition, and I literally did it just for a good hang. If there's a chance, sure, I would love to take it, because if it's not that, it's again, it's flying on a plane, renting a Ford Focus, going to another college, which is fine. I appreciate the opportunities, but it's like climbing a mountain one step at a time versus just a helicopter ride, and so The Voice is sort of that helicopter ride, and but for me, I know that if I don't have that, you better start stepping, because that's the journey, as a musician. It's an uphill battle for sure. And but I was maybe there's a chance I'll get this little helicopter ride here. And so I auditioned, and again, didn't think I was going to get a call back, and I got a call back. I was so floored, that I was going to be, they wean it down every time. And so it wasn't hey, you're going to sing for the chairs, but it's more we're thinking about it, which is weaning it down to very, compared to what it was. It's a good chance now that I'll get an opportunity to sing for a chair. And so then, went out there to LA and did, one more audition, and then, wow, I'm actually going to sing for these chairs. This is crazy that, I have this opportunity to just be heard, on my voice alone, and which for me is actually a little bit nerving, because I'm such a visual performer. I love using my body to engage the lyrics and the sounds and the shapes, which I'm trying to kind of throw out there. And so to just be heard on my voice, I kind of felt good about it, but I kind of was a little bit nervous. But I actually got a chair turn, and I was on Blake's team. And I don't think I could have picked a better coach, but also at the kind of the wrong time. because Blake, this year, every year the coaches have like a different strategy that they try to go about. Like I think Christina Aguilera, like her first season, it was like just trying to find all powerhouse, pretty much a copy of herself. And then I think the next year she tried to have a very versatile team. Or versatile, is that how you say it?
I don't know what some school you're asking about. You're asking the wrong person.
A versatile team. So different tiles on her team. And this, I didn't know what Blake's was going to be this year, which it turns out that he's just trying to do this sort of all-star country team. And not to say that that's why I was kicked off. There could be a number of reasons why I didn't make it any further, but just that I made it on the show and made one of the 48 out of 50,000 people felt I think it helped me, when I spoke earlier on the show about being just comfortable in my own skin. It's not that we really need to find validation by another person. You can just be that, simply be comfortable in your own skin, whether someone else likes it or not. But I think it did help me in the process of wow, I think, if I made it this far, even if I didn't make it to the end and beat some of these, I mean, if you're watching the show now, I mean, especially when it comes to the female singers, and like, man, their voices are killer, like next level. I mean, it's like the best singers yet on the show. And, but just to be in that company, was honoring, and it helped me in the process as an artist to continue to make me feel comfortable in my own skin, which helps me just write more songs from a deeper place, and which helps me perform from a deeper place. Everything just that I feel more grounded in who I am through the process, and even getting words of advice from Sheryl Crow and different people along the way, just kind of helping me in that, and trying to encourage me that hey, the real you is a lot more interesting than the fake somebody else, and not that those words were saying, but that's sort of the gist.
Exactly.
And so yeah, I think I'm done trying to, as a creative person, trying to be interesting, and I feel comfortable, and I'm interested in life, and I think the things that I'm interested in, I want to make those known to people, because I think if I'm interested in, maybe someone else is interested in it too.
Yeah, and it's such a process, like you said, it wasn't just you go straight to the chairs and of The Voice and perform for them is a process, and so making it to the top 48 out of 50,000 auditions is such an accomplishment, man.
Yeah.
And being able to hear how much you've grown, and I know we're going to continue our interview with talking about The Voice, but we want to get into a track right now and being able to hear another track from you, but we'll continue our conversation with The Voice. I know it's kind of an awkward position to pause, but I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
But let's go ahead and jump into one of your songs. I know this is the title track of your latest album, Red Carpet, I believe. So let's go ahead and hear any specific meaning to the song. Sorry.
I think this song just sort of, again, just like what I just talked about my story, I'm just kind of like resting forward, just kind of talks about sort of that place in which I can sort of rest in, and so that's what this song is about. It's called Red Carpet. You're the red carpet to the mountain top. You're the open door through which I walk. You're the celebration, the fire in the sky. You're the golden seashore. I wanna walk beside you, and you're all of these things and more. You're all of these things and more. You're the rest for weary, beauty for my ashes. There's a feast going down, and and I'm oh so hungry, and you're all of these things and more. You're all of these things and more. There isn't a language, I couldn't say the words to express how I feel. Oh, there is no analogy, I couldn't sing a melody to capture what I see. You're all of these things and you're the definition of a love inside me, and you're all of these things and more. You're all of these things and more.
Oh man, so good, man. I just got chills, man, and not those creepy chills, you know.
Yeah,
well, those,
it's
like,
not because it's cold.
And not because it's cold in here, you know? But those like so good chills, you know, and just the things you can do with your voice, man. It's so. I'm jealous, you know, but it's a good kind of jealous. It's a motivating kind of jealous.
Yeah,
you know?
Like I said, intimidated.
Exactly.
Intimidated that leads to hopeful inspiration.
Exactly. And it's so different. That track was so different from the recorded track, and I encourage those listeners and those viewers to, if you haven't, to check out the albums that are released by Dr. Seahorse. One's Red Carpet and one's Symptoms of Trend, and they're both phenomenal albums. But I wanted to go ahead and get back into the conversation of of the voice, and I wanted to get in, and I watched a recent video that you released. It was on YouTube, and if you haven't checked out the video, it's about his journey and what he's learned in his experience on the voice, and the video is called My Thoughts About Being on the Voice, and like I said, I was reading a blog by The Joy Eternal, and they were talking about, all the things, the hopes that they've had, what he's going to win, what if he wins, all this stuff, but he never really thought about what if he doesn't, know, and I know you say something on there, I'm going to quote you, I'm sorry, I hope you don't mind if I quote you.
Go for it.
It says, obviously there's a disappointment in not moving further with the voice. I can take it as great loss, but I see much value in the experience I had and know there's a purpose. And so just in that, you hear the humility and gratitude in your voice, but also the disappointment and the encouragement to others. And you go on to say that you learn so much from the experience, and you feel that much more clear on who I am and who God has specifically wired me to be, and I want to share that story. What experiences? That brings me to my question. What experiences and what story do you want to tell people from this? Yeah,
I think. Hold on, give me 2.5 seconds.
Okay, go for it, man. Go for it. I'm sorry. I know I should have warned you about this question, but I was, like I said, I was watching the video and I was like, man, it's such a, like I said, it was only like a few minutes on the video, but you learned so much from you, and about your experience, but more in-depth question I wanted to ask.
Yeah, and I think the story isn't as much, a story is usually something written about, I think usually when you watch a movie and it's a bad movie, it's usually there's bad character development, and I think that, the story of me being on The Voice is character development. It was something that challenged me and encouraged me, but then to not move forward actually was, it makes me ask myself questions. And sometimes when you ask yourself questions, it's a bad thing, but sometimes you ask yourself questions, it's a great thing. Asking myself, maybe when I was on the show and I was being asked questions, I didn't come across clear enough to who I am specifically, or I wasn't honest enough, or, I can go through things again and again, but, through that sort of grind that I put myself through, I try not to grind myself to the ground, but more like grind myself to move forward, like, how can I, approach this better next time around? My friend makes shoes. He's like this famous kind of shoemaker guy, and he was on some bow competition thing. I think it's been 5 years ago or something like that. He didn't win, and I was talking to him on the phone after I lost, and he was like, "Man, you're actually responding to your experience the same way that I did," and through that show led him to question, what is my branding? What am I about? Like, what do I stand for? Like, those kind of questions. And, through that process, he ended up like getting connected through being on the show and losing, not even making it, now his mentors are like, the Tommy Hilfiger and like the girl I don't know what the lady's name is, but the movie Devil Wears Prada is actually about this fashion designer. Wow. These are people that he has like on dial that he's getting mentored by, and now he's flying all over the world helping other companies design things. And he never would have been who he is now if it wasn't through sort of the character development process that, again, in movies, when there's great character development, it's a great story.
Definitely. So
that's the story that, I want to share with people, is the story of allowing life to sort of chip away at you, and let it help sort of, shape you into who it is that, like how the sculptors say, like, it's this, the sculpture's already there. You just got to kind of chip away.
Exactly.
And I think that as an artist, who knows how to perform so well, who knows how to like dress things up, and to, I can do a lot of things with my voice range wise and these things like that. So because I can do lots of things doesn't mean that you should do them. It's the same thing with a drummer that can play fills for days, and you can kind of get caught up in the showing people you can do stuff, or you can just ask yourself, how can I just be? And it's usually those drummers, those singers that aren't trying to prove themselves. They're not trying to show you something. They're just existing as them with where they're at and where their story has taken them. And so for me, I think that's, I'm freshly got off the show, so it's like such a fresh zone for me right now.
Sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
It's actually fun. It's
good.
helping my process. It's refining my process right in this moment. And so through this process, I think that I'm sort of learning what are those things, and I know that it's not going to stop here. You know what I mean? And I think that the artists that stop growing, it's the artists that stop really creating anything that's actually good. And you see that time and time again, where they say they're reinventing themselves, but it's really the same bag. And I think a lot of it has to do with their personal lives and sort of what parameters they almost sadly have to make for themselves, security and those things. And they're just kind of locked away from experiencing life. And so I'm grateful that, I didn't get a lot of face time on the show, that I'm, become this sort of famous person that is not growing. Because I think growing is where you kind of, that sort of scared / excitement and all those things that help you really touch and feel life for all it's worth.
Definitely.
I get to still have, I can go to the mall and not be recognized, I just get to stare people down, which is the funnest thing to do at the mall. Like, I go there all the time just to watch people watch.
Man, my wife and I, we're huge people watchers, and
I'm watching everyone out there.
Right now, I see you right now. And unfortunately, we're unable to hear another track from you, because we've been able to learn more about who you are. Awesome. and whatnot. But I want to ask a couple more questions. I believe we have maybe time for one more question, and then we'll do a quick wrap up. But what was the best advice you were given on that show? Man.
Trying to think. I think it was when it's actually from one of the vocal coaches. And I hate to not give the shout out to who the coach things were, but this one hit me deeper. And usually, for me, growing up with a single mom who was on drugs, and all my whole story that had continued. I think and you grow up in this kind of ghetto neighborhood and all this kind of thing. You learn how to sing with soul, and the soul is who you are. And you kind of sing from that place of pain very naturally, and you kind of go for it. You just almost sing sort of balls to the wall, just like, and you have that wrenching place to sing from, and you have it at a moment's notice. And I don't know if you watched Idol I don't know if it was J-Lo or one of those artists that kept telling, the different people, you got to find that place of pain to sing from, to really, attach yourself to the song. And that's usually what anyone is coached in. As someone comes to sing, and to make it not sound karaoke, to really make someone be sold on it, you got to find that place of pain. And for me, it was so natural. It was almost too much. And so the coach had told me, she was listening to me, and she was like, "Gosh, what is?" She can technically maybe say you're singing too hard, or that you're overdoing this, you're exaggerating that, or you're whatever. But she didn't say those things. She said something that like kind of was in a deeper spot. She said, "Why don't you try singing it again? But this time, like, just try to sing from a place of joy." And I was like, I looked at her and I said, "Have you ever told any other student or anybody else on the show this thing?" She's like, "No." And I'm like, this is crazy. Like that comment was specifically to me. And if I was on that show just for that reason alone, because I naturally have that place of pain, that sort of well that I can dig out of is just there at a moment's notice. Some people have to work for that. They have to actually dig to get to the well. Like my well is just there. And so I can dig from that, but I also need to be looking up at the sun as I'm down in that well.
Yeah, exactly.
Sing from that place as well,
It's such a great advice, man, for everyone, and not just for you specifically, but for her to just speak to you specifically is great, and so.
And I think,
go on.
And I think a lot of people, certain people that are naturally wired into that place of kind of melancholy, if you will. I know there's a lot of you out there. I think, we got to find that place of joy to kind of to look at life from.
Exactly, man. To not get so complacent and comfortable or even down, but to see the joy in it, because you miss opportunities,
Totally.
And man, it's been such a great interview. I've loved having you here. And before we start wrapping it up, where can people hear more from you and from Dr. Seahorse, and where can they reach you? Where can they access? I know you have some albums out. Where can they get more music from you and hear more about you guys?
Yeah, they can go on our website, drseahorse.com, and there's links to everything from hearing music to finding out when and where we're playing to, buying albums and listening to them and all that kind of stuff.
Nice,
pictures
man.
And videos.
Nice. And like I said, we weren't unable to get to that last track because I got caught in the moment of this conversation. I feel like we're at my house,
that's fine with me.
But we'll play it after. I just got word from our producer here, Matthew, that we'll definitely play it after for you guys to hear. And if you guys are unable to hear it on Coyote Radio, go ahead and check them out, please. These acoustic versions of these songs, it's too night and day, but they somehow stand together and stand alone at the same time, if that makes sense. But thank you.
See, those are the kind of things I write a song about.
Yeah, there you go, exactly. So there you go. Nice. So definitely check it out. I feel like we're here, man. I feel like we're here. So be sure and join us next week. Thank you so much, Trevor, for coming out. Like I said, if you guys want to hear more from Dr. Seahorse from San Diego, check them out online, check their music. But be sure and join us next week for Lunchtime Live. And if there's a band that you'd like to hear on Lunchtime Live, be sure to email us at crmusic@csusb.edu and let us know about the bands. And remember to support the musical artists in your neighborhood. For the Academic Computing and Media Department at Cal State San Bernardino, as well as the entire staff of Coyote Radio, I'm Junior Ibarra. Have a great week. Thanks, Trevor.